Hi, this is Mitchell Kopelman. I want to welcome everybody to FinTech South and the next session, which is deep dives into crypto and blockchain. We have a great afternoon planned for you, so I hope you're all ready and buckle up to enjoy what will be a very, very challenging discussion with a lot of people on a lot of really neat topics. So first up, we'll have Roop, who is the TAG Blockchain Society member and also is with Intuit Factory. He has really been out there ahead of everybody when it comes to blockchain. So he'll be great. You'll have a great video from him. And then my colleague, Dragruti, will be asking him some really good questions. And then after that, you'll have Stephen Pear from BitPay, who many of you know and is running BitPay here out of Atlanta, Georgia. And he's got a great panel that he's on with Catherine from Binance and Frank from The Block and Jalak from Future Perfect Ventures. So that should be a great panel. And following them at 3:15, you'll have Dana, who's with Perkins Coie, great law firm. We share a lot of clients with them, especially in the blockchain space. And Brian Brooks, who's the acting controller of currency for the U.S. Department of Treasury. So that'll be really interesting to see what he has to share relative to the government's position on blockchain. And then we go into the DeFi space, which is every blockchain company pretty much. You turn around, if they weren't in DeFi, they're getting into DeFi. Every fintech company, if they weren't in DeFi, they're getting into DeFi. So this would be a really great panel. We'll have Dana again, will be moderating this. And then we'll have Brian from Maker and Jake from Compound and Mike from Andreessen Horowitz, who has been an investor well ahead of most people in blockchain. And then the last panel of the afternoon, we've got Morwan from Veeam, very creative company. I know Aprio has a great relationship with Veeam, and we use them through our Aprio Cloud division, so it's a great company. And then we have Sanjeev, who's editor-in-chief from Money 2020, and then Vanessa, who is the head of Truist Ventures. As most everyone knows, Truist is a result of two banks, one of which is SunTrust, that was headquartered in Atlanta. I'd like to now welcome my partner, Brett Williams, and like to tell you a little bit about some of the items that we're looking at relative to privacy and security risks that are out there, blockchain, non-blockchain, just across the fintech world. And Brett, we can take a minute or two and a few minutes and share with everybody some thoughts.
Thanks, Mitchell. I think probably every company here today is probably sharing a kind of a similar problem, kind of the protection of how do you protect your company and systems from outside threats. These days, the day of the hacker being covered in a hoodie, in his basement is probably long gone. I think most of the hackers are probably in a big cube farm in a professional setting, maybe even with a nation state, basically trying to get access to your information. And I think as your attack surface continues to grow exponentially, so does the professionalism of these attackers. Everyone here probably knows, this is big business, again, whether it's for monetary gain or for nation state competition. Very few small companies, especially in the fintech and blockchain space, probably have a cybersecurity risk management program. Many hope that their lack of name recognition will probably protect them. And as they grow, they can worry about cybersecurity. Or maybe some blockchain companies think that they're relying on the security of the blockchain for their data. But even if the blockchain is secure, it doesn't really mean that the other data within your company from a confidentiality perspective or your customers' data is stored in that blockchain. There's probably lots of confidential data that is usually not stored, whether that's things like your contract information, pricing, et cetera. I mean, that's, typically not things you're going to see on the blockchain. And there are just a lot of, there are just so few tools and security professionals out there to kind of help protect all this data. I mean, it's gotten to where, the data just keeps expanding. Today, probably most security products are more detective in nature and not preventive. In today's world, you just can't detect everything. And even if you could, you don't have enough resources to follow up on everything. I think some of the tools are finally starting to move towards maybe more of a direction of measuring your preventive capabilities, but I still think these are probably in their infancy. We've probably all heard the saying, there are kind of two types of companies, those that know they've been breached and those that don't. And unfortunately, I think this is probably more accurate today than ever. I think most companies are probably spending little to no time making sure their cybersecurity posture looks at the risk within their organization, from the assumption that the hacker has breached their front door and are searching for confidential data within their internal environment. Your detection systems, I think, in today's world need to be focused as much internally, probably as externally within your monitoring systems. You need to understand where your high-risk data is. You probably need to put some stronger, preventive controls around that data, and again, apply that monitoring over that data. So when your data is accessed or copied or et cetera, you actually have alarm bells that go off, and you can react to kind of limit that damage. Next slide, Mitchell. While cybersecurity risk methods continue to increase, I mean, the number one attack method remains phishing. While the phishing techniques and sophistication continue to get better, it's still phishing. Phishing is preventable, but it requires a lot of training for your employees. And as your company kind of grows, obviously the number of potential entry methods grow with it. Again, that's why your preventive controls need to be coupled with that increased monitoring over your sensitive data, as well as over the individuals with elevated access, so you can quickly limit any damage if and when phishing occurs to one of your employees. Next slide, Mitchell. This slide kind of includes a real simple list of the common vulnerabilities we often see. Most of these vulnerabilities are not hard or complex, and most of them are, pretty preventable. It always amazes me how few companies really have a handle on their IT assets. I mean, if you don't know where or what IT assets are in your production environment, it makes it pretty hard to have a kind of a well-designed patch management process, for example. And timely patching is another area that we often see neglected by companies. Waiting 30 days to patch production servers for critical patches is, probably not working in today's world. But I'm always amazed at how many companies might take weeks these days to do a critical security patch. And even if you're a small fintech or blockchain company, you need to be thinking about your vulnerabilities. If not, when the unthinkable happens, it will be very difficult to recover. A lot of this stuff's not hard and it's pretty preventable. You just need to make sure you have a focus on these risks within your company. And if you're in this software as a service space and you're storing your customers' data, you not only need to have some controls in place, you're also probably going to need to demonstrate to your customers via a third-party security audit, such as like a SOC report or ISO 27001, that you actually have these controls in place. So you need to be thinking about these controls early in your life cycle, or else, when you get that first big contract or you're trying to sign that, get your first revenue in the door, you're going to be scrambling like a lot of clients to not only, get these controls in place to make sure they're operating, hiring an auditor, et cetera, just in order to get the revenue in the door. So these are just some things, typically we see on the small technology side that companies need to be thinking about. Mitchell, back to you.
Brett, thank you very much. And I guess when you were talking about the security audits like SOC reporting, ISO, PCI, GDPR, you're doing that. That's one of the areas that you lead for our firm, and that's awesome. So Brett is one of our partners in our privacy and security practice, and he's one of 78 partners that we have at Aprio. We're over 550 people, 9 key industries that we cover. The biggest one that we cover is actually technology, and within that, the biggest subsector is fintech and blockchain is very much part of that, big part of that fintech practice. We have a variety of services. Most of our clients are international, so we cover 30 languages to really help them work all over the globe. We've got phenomenal accolades over the years from Accounting Today, Inside Public Accounting, lots of different publications, and we're really proud of what our people have accomplished over the years. This is kind of highlights some of our security and privacy services and some of the other services that we have, from blockchain, accounting, and tax. Of course, auditing companies on the blockchain, providing all of these cyber services for companies on the blockchain, cloud accounting, international planning, M&A. Really have a very diverse organization with a lot of services to offer and very focused on the tech sector. Again, this is the schedule for the afternoon. We hope that you enjoy the rest of the session and ask questions, be vocal, because the guys speaking on the other end, they don't know that you're there unless you're asking them questions. So look forward to seeing everybody at the tail end of the last session. Thank you very much, and I believe it's time for me to turn it over.